last 3 games.
It's a 3-game series.
Yep.
And 2 of the games are on home court, so that
Always
gives
helps.
them a little bit of a advantage.
Okay, we are recording. So, welcome everybody. First and foremost, some housekeeping. And since the Kings game is on and it could blow it for somebody that's recording it, there are no spoilers. We won't talk about the score. If any of you know it, don't post it in the chat or anything else. For the people that might be recording it, it would blow it for them. And let's just, it's better not to do it. So, and I mean, it won't be very deep into the game by the time we're done anyway. So, let's see. Okie dokie. So let's start out. Are there any kind of questions before I go into tech Q&A and before I get started? Any pressing issues or anything? Let me get the chat window up. Participants and chat. Al is already doing his masterful job of putting a bunch of links into the chat. And that's just incredible. And that's all saved. And then Bob does a great job of getting that out from there, the links to the PDF he puts together. Mary, you've actually, Keith McMahon has a question first. Go for it, Keith.
So I have a question about the Apple Wallet and Apple credit cards. It is very confusing to me. Because
Well, give me your number and I'll help you figure it out.
give you a number. I'm not sure.
No, your Apple card number.
Oh, no, I don't think so. Anyhow, because I bought a new studio and a new display and paid for them over a year, I've collected a bunch of cash in my Apple account.
Right.
Over $200.
Nice.
It says I can send it to people. I can use it to buy stuff. But yet I did buy something from Apple last week. It was about $30. And I can't figure out how I can use that cash to buy something from Apple, or how I could have it sent to my bank account or send me a check or whatever it is so I can use it for something that I want to use it for.
Well, it's really easy to send to me. So actually what you do, Keith, is if you're going to, like with Apple, if you're doing checkout, you go to Apple Pay. And in Apple Pay, instead of selecting a credit card, you select Apple Cash. Now, there are some times when that doesn't work, but also you should have a bank account linked to it, and you can simply have it go to the bank account. The other thing is, I believe it pays my iCloud bill with it if I want it to too.
Yeah, it does pay for my iCloud bill. That I know.
Yeah, so that'll whittle away in time. But if you want to do it, it'll well now, and are you doing your payments over the year? Did you say?
Well, the payments for this Apple Studio were over a year, but the year is up.
Okay. I was going to say, if you were still making payments on that, you could have that apply to it. But I would just offload it back to your bank would be my suggestion. And you should be able to manage that in a wallet in the app, but I'm not positive. I would Google that and see. Al, you got any here? Al will be posting the links as we speak on how to do that. So
I'm looking at my my phone right now, my Apple Wallet, and I went to Apple Cash, and upper right hand corner of my iPhone screen, there's 3 dots with a circle. If you hit that, the second item down is transfer to bank. And you have to have a bank, I think, but when you first set it up, so somewhere you have an account that's linked to this. So just touch that and let's see here.
And and the nice thing about linking your account to it is, let's say someone decided they wanted to pay you with Apple Cash, then you could do that. Or if somebody else wanted Apple Cash, like let's say you're out for dinner and you're splitting the check up or something like that.
Okay. I think I'll try this link on this three dots, or this is what they call
Yeah.
an ellipsis,
Yeah.
I think. Is that an
I'll put
ellipsis?
a-
John?
I'll-
What you
I'll
mean?
put a link in the chat as well for you.
Okay, great.
Give you a step by step here.
And then Mary, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, partially a cautionary tale. I had a Roku attached to my TV. I couldn't make it work, so I decided to go out and buy an Apple TV. And then-
Nice.
And it wouldn't work. And I went, what? It showed it wouldn't connect. And then I figured out, lo and behold, it was that the outlet was the problem. So, but I decided to keep the Apple TV anyway,
well,
because
good.
I'm getting used to it. So I just really wanted to ask if there was a good video or anything that you guys recommend on how to use your Apple TV.
Al will find a good one, and there
I'll
are
dig you
some great
something up
ones
here.
out there.
Thanks.
A little Apple TV tip.
Okay.
We all know that when we watch TV shows or movies, there's the music in the background or there's cars going and things like that. And the sound engineer knows the dialogue already, so they don't realize that we can't hear the dialogue over all of that. And so you can put closed captioning on anytime you want. You swipe up and go into closed captioning. But there's one little thing that's cool. If you use the Siri button and you say, what did they say? It skips back, I think it's 10 seconds. It skips back automatically and it pops up closed captioning just for those 10 seconds. And then it goes away. So you've got the closed captioning because you can't hear what it is.
Nice.
Also, in the case like that, sometimes it pays if you have different speakers. You want to amplify this center channel because that's usually the speaking. But no, that's a problem even with young people. And then, God, I hate some of these YouTube videos where you're listening to people and they're talking about different things, and then all of a sudden they play music, and the music is so blaringly loud. It's just crazy. So anyway, you'll love the Apple TV and the interaction with it.
Yeah, it took me a while to get it set up, but it does some weird things, but I'm thinking that like you can change the order of the apps and those kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I want to play around with a little without ruining everything. So
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah,
okay,
you can
thanks.
you can definitely move them around the screen and put them in the order that you want, similar to what you do with your phone. You know how you can long press and you move it around and then get it to be configured the way that's comfortable for you.
Can I do that on my phone connected to the Apple TV?
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
You can
I'll
do
look
two
into
things.
it.
You can make your iPhone the remote control for the
Yeah.
Apple TV, which is nice because then you have a regular keyboard. And the other thing is anything on your phone, you can fling it up to the Apple TV, and it seems like it wouldn't be as good, but no, it is absolutely full resolution. So that's the beauty of Apple TV. And also some TVs that have Apple TV can do that too, but it's wonderful. So
Yeah,
You-
I'm
you can,
enjoying it a lot. Yeah.
On the control center there on your phone.
Hello, is
You know,
that maybe someone I know?
I
on your
muted her.
On your phone, the control center, if you have a modern phone, when you slash down, and you can customize all these little mini apps like your alarm or camera or whatever. One of the apps there is the Apple remote, and it's pretty straightforward. With that,
It
you
just
can
looks
enter in-
like your little remote.
yeah, you can
And
use it to
another little
do-
tip, on the remote control, you have that touch pad on it. Well, a lot of times it's hard to get accurate with that. So what you actually do if you're trying to swipe left and right, if you just tap right at the edge on the corner, that will advance it one at a time rather than trying to swipe, because inevitably, if you have too much momentum, you'll swipe past one or more or two. All right, I'm going to start the screen share here. And okie doke. Let's get the keynote going. That's not it. And that's not it. What did I do? Here it is. There it is. So I hate the keynote doesn't automatically go into full screen anymore. And you guys, if you have questions along the way, feel free to digitally raise your hand by hitting reactions at the bottom, and then it'll pop up. And then typical as we go through, we are recording already. We're going to do ask for announcements. We'll do tech Q&A. Then Al has a great lineup of news and rumors like he always does. And then I'm changing slightly from what it was sold as Photos Basics tonight. We're going to do that, but I'm also going to talk about artificial intelligence and AI. And I will follow that up on May 6th on the first Saturday and do extensive photo basics and AI and chat. And I'm going to pound through the presentation tonight and just kind of hit the highlights because it's deeper than we have time for, and it's phenomenal. And I'll give you some examples when we get going on it. So first of all, are there from the crowd? And we have 30 people there. Oh, and don't forget, let's see, do we have anybody's name? Do we need first and last names? Or so Moose, I assume that's Sharon. Is that correct? Sharon, you can unmute yourself. Whoever is listed as Moose, unmute yourself, because we need your first and last name or you won't be able to.
It's Sharon Moose.
Okay, great. So Mary and Lisa, if you guys can make note of that, that's fine. All right. So any announcements from members or volunteers? Okay, usually there's not. So tech Q&A, this is the time to ask. You've already asked some questions. And Bob, I don't think there was anything in the Purple Mac, was there?
No Purple Mac questions.
We should make sure we get a picture of that thing so we can post that. So use it.
I can do that. It's out in my garage.
Yeah. Elaine, with the question, go right ahead.
Hi there. My partner has a MacBook Pro that's fairly old, not as old as mine, but fairly old. It's gotten really, really slow. And I'm wondering what's the best way to check for viruses, if that's a possibility for why it's slow. What's the best way?
Sure. I'll give you a couple things to check.
Okay.
It's highly unlikely there's a virus.
Okay.
There might be called adware. And what you want to do is download Malware Bytes, and Al will post a link, and you can go there and download the free version of it. And then it'll start out and it'll give you a 14-day premium. Immediately go in and say, no, don't do the trial anymore and get out of it. But then it's free, and you don't want it to run in the background or anything. You just run it when you need it. And the other thing you can do is if you go up to the Apple logo and then come down to About This Mac, and then when you click on storage, you should look to make sure you have at least 20% of the available space left. It's not taking up more than 80%, because that will slow things down significantly, because just going to websites and stuff will create temporary files that need to be stored somewhere. And did you know how old it is?
No, and I didn't think to check before I got on this Zoom tonight.
Yeah, so just go to About This Mac and come down. It'll give you the vintage, the date of it.
Yeah.
And and it could be the hard drive is getting tired.
Yes,
So
that is a good. But mine is older.
Have a time machine backup.
Yes, we know to do that. I have an older MacBook Pro than his, and mine is still, knock on wood, going strong.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks.
and at some point, they kind of, and what really happens is at some point Safari becomes so old that you can't go to certain websites because of security issues, or
Mhm.
excuse me, perceived security issues and stuff like that. So yeah, and I'll put a link to Malwarebytes. Just click on personal and then free download and for the Mac, and you can install it and then go into settings right away and turn off the premium and turn off the scheduled scans and stuff like that. So, and oh, it looks like they have an app also, huh?
Yep.
Al,
Yep.
that's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, is that for mobile?
It says mobile security, and then it says block robocalls
Yeah.
and filtered text. So
I
that
don't
may
know
not
if
be what you're
that's
looking
an
for.
issue on a mobile device, but
Yeah.
anyway, the Malwarebytes. Oh, and you will have to, depending on how new the operating system is, you may have to, it'll pop up and tell you if you need to enable some not turn off, you need to authorize full disk access and security. And there's great tutorials on that and stuff. And again, just, you don't need to have it run in the background. If just something seems weird. Now, if it pops up and says there is something, they'll call them, quote, threats. And what adware is really, it just is giving fake clicks when you're on the web and things like that. They're trying to generate ad revenue by making it act like somebody's clicking on all this stuff, but it slows things down dramatically. It's highly unlikely you would actually have malware, and virtually unlikely that you would ever have viruses. So, and on the other hand, some people have virus protection software, and it's almost as bad as a virus because it takes a lot of clock cycles out. And so, Darian, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
So I have two questions. One
Okay.
is, I guess I got the free version of Clean My Mac, and it frequently will tell me that something is almost full and I better do something about it. But since I have the free version, I'm not doing anything about it. I'm wondering what kinds of things might be causing my generous 8 gigabytes of memory to fill up.
Well, now you don't have 8 gigabytes. You have 8 gigabytes of memory, but it's your storage. And actually, since my screen's on here, let's go up and show you about, I click on the Apple logo and go to about this Mac.
And
So
I have,
this will first of all tell us the age of the computer. But then if I go to storage, this is the storage and how much you're using. So you'll
Ken,
notice
we
that
don't see
I'm
that, Ken.
you're
I
Are
not-
see-
you showing us something because we still see the keynote slide?
it's in the middle.
Al,
of
do
the
you see it?
Okay,
I see it, Ken. It's in the
Oh,
middle of
okay.
your keynote. Yeah.
sorry.
You see it? It's kind of small.
Yeah, that's weird. Because it's in front of the keynote.
Yes, I see it now.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So and actually this, so it's not in older OSs, you won't have this like this. You'll have to go to the drive. But the other cool thing is you can go here and you can see what's taking up the space. But if I go to manage, now and I don't know why it switched screens like that, but anyway, is my screen being shown?
Yes.
Okay, so if you look here, you can see how much the applications are taking up. Let's see. And when I click on, for instance, documents, it'll show me the largest files. So here's some old movies. Well, I don't know if I meet them. These are, let's see here, they're downloads. Oh, these are my drone videos. So I can hit my space bar and see what it is. This was in Iceland.
Nice.
So I don't want to delete that. And I have, let's see. Oh, another one in Iceland. Okay. So I could delete those. Oh, here's my Office 2019 installer. I could delete that. Obviously, if we go to applications, I'll tell you one you want to look for in here. And you always can hit sort by size because you want to get rid of the biggest stuff first that you don't need. But many times you'll have it'll say install, and it'll be a Mac installer of your Mac OS, and you probably don't need it. That's about 6 gigabytes. If you have something over here that says iOS files, that's your old backups of your iPhone, and it's the old app backup. You don't need anymore. You can get rid of them. So I'm
trying
sorry,
to
go ahead.
I'm trying to find this manage thing that you have been
Okay,
talking.
if we go up to the Apple logo,
Yep,
well, first of all, go to the overview. What operating system are you using?
I'm in Ventura, something or other.
Oh boy, okay. And is it going, did you say yours is operating slow, or it says you're getting full?
It says I'm getting full, and it is somewhat slow.
Okay, so in Ventura, you're going to go into About This Mac,
Yep,
and then you're going to hit, I think it says more info or something. Bob, if you can help me, I know you're on Ventura.
it does.
Yeah, I'm
say
looking at it
more
right
info.
now. Instead of the tabs across the top, you have a button that says more info.
Yep,
Click
but
on
I
that.
don't find manage.
Yeah, and now you get your screen showing all the different types of settings.
Right?
And you want to go to go to general,
Ah, okay.
and then the last thing near the bottom, general is storage.
Oh, actually, right,
And you
I
want to
found
click on
storage.
storage settings.
I'm sorry, storage settings?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, let me try that again. I have general, and then I have storage. And I get a little window for storage, but there's nothing that,
You should be seeing a window that looks similar.
You want to share your screen, Bob?
What's that?
Do you want to share your screen to show us?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
Okay, let me unshare mine. So just grab the green button at the bottom, hit share, and then share in the new window that pops up. Perfect.
Are you seeing me?
Yes, we see it there.
Okay, so let me pull this down a little, and let me go back to general. So in general, you have storage.
right?
And now you can see it's similar, but it's taller. And it does the same thing where, it'll show you what's in those different files.
Oh,
And instead of manage, they're already showing you what manage would show you already.
ah, okay.
So
And you can-
Bob, click on documents, for instance. And he hit the information, and now it shows you essentially the same window we were looking at the other way.
Yeah, and you can sort it different ways. This is a tiny bit different. You can still sort by size over here. So
Right.
So
Also gives-
how did you manage to click on that when I click on it?
Click on the
nothing-
little information eye that it's the end, the eye in the circle. Go back one screen, Bob, hit done. Do you see at the right-hand side, the eye with the circle in it? Or the circle with the eye in it, I should say.
I'm pointing at it right now.
Yeah.
Okay, now, yeah, that's not much. Oh, okay, maybe I need
It's
to.
gray on gray. Apple likes to do that. They don't
Okay,
want to make it easy to see stuff.
now I see it. Thank you, thank you.
So click on that and you get this, and then you got large files, you got downloads, you got unsupported apps. Gee, I actually have one, huh?
Yeah. Not taking
Oh,
up
but
much room, but yeah.
It's old. Notice the slash mark across it. It's an old Intel app.
Yep. 32-bit.
Yeah.
30
See ya.
And then file browser. But
So
And you had a
Ken, you
second,
can just,
Kevin, you had a second question?
Yes, my other question is in the Finder, I tend to look at things in columns. And so everything I do is in columns, and 98% of the time I'm looking at things in columns. And yet occasionally when I click on something, it will open in non-columns, in straight across. And is that just what it does? And it opens in different sizes? Is there some way that I can?
Has that only been since you went to Ventura?
I am not sure, but it might be.
Okay, so generally speaking, and I'm not sure if it still holds true, but what you do is you open a Finder window.
Yep.
And then you would select columns.
Yep.
Then immediately close that Finder window. And hopefully the next time you open a Finder window, it remembers that that's the way you had it. But I think there's a Finder preference, if I'm not mistaken. Finder preferences.
Called settings.
Yeah, it's settings in yours. And
Might be.
oh, so there, yeah, I don't.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, but I don't see any of the ones that say, I thought there used to be a setting for that.
Yeah, there used to be, you're right.
But I know that in the past it's worked, and well, there's columns and then there's items, and I'm in items. I'm the one with all the lines of text, but not the, I don't have vertical columns. I have horizontal columns.
Where it is now is in the view menu.
Ah,
The first 4 items in the view menu has icons, has list,
there you go.
has columns, has gallery.
Yeah. You can
yeah,
use a
but does
command-
it stay persistent, I guess, is the problem.
Right.
Well, you know what? If you go down farther, here's
Oh,
the good
so
old-fashioned-
go down farther, and actually this is a great screen. I'll share my screen right now because this is a screen I use a lot and it's not thought of much. So if I go to Finder and go to View and say View, Show View Options. Now,
Right, there you go.
always open in List View.
Yeah.
And you can do different things here, but here's one that's also very good. You know how when you're trying to find stuff out and a folder might have a lot of stuff in it, but it really doesn't ever calculate it. If you have it on, it will, let me go to where there's some folders, for instance, in maybe my documents. So if I say sort by size, well, unfortunately, it's already, oh, there it is, uncalculate. It's not turning on. Oh, yeah, it is. See how the folder here? So I'm going to click by size. And you'll notice, wow, it means those folders don't have anything in them. They must be 0. But if you select calculate all sizes, now my folders are, everything is by size. So you'll notice these top 2 are folders. So that's that one. Another one I like also too. Date modified is on by default, but a lot of times you want to say either date last opened or date created. And what that does, you'll notice it just adds more columns.
Unfortunately, in Ventura, there are only 4 things once you get past sort by. All the rest isn't there. And there's text size, show icons, show icon preview, show icon column. So, or show preview column. So that's all the view options you get.
Oh, well, at least you've got some and Bob found them for you.
Yes. Thank you, Bob.
Anytime.
All righty. Mary, you started to say something a minute ago. Go ahead.
Oh, you said that, and now I've forgotten. So it's it's not that big a deal, I'm sure.
All right. Any other questions? This is a good time.
I'm interested in your comment about antiviral software. A couple of years ago, an IT friend insisted I get Norton on my iMac and other devices. But was that necessary or is that a waste of time?
And was your IT friend a Windows person?
He has, he programs and he has a Mac, actually, a MacBook Pro. That he programs on. I don't know what else he does. And he's certainly done a lot of Windows things.
Right. It's, you know, I don't want to say, no, you shouldn't, but generally speaking, it's not needed. The only, and especially with the newer operating systems, there's theoretical vulnerabilities, but as long as you keep, now I'm not saying you have to be on Ventura, but I mean, like I'm in Mojave or I'm on Monterey, excuse me, but I make sure my Monterey is updated, because anytime there's perceived things, Apple with a software update will come in and nip it in the bud. And I frankly haven't heard of anything in quite a while. And of course, it makes big news if there's ever talk of a virus on a Mac. So I think it slows things down. And, you know, as long as you have a good time machine backup, you know, I'm not going to tell you not to. I don't. Al, do you? Bob?
Haven't had software like that in 20 years.
That
Yeah.
says it all. Okay, thank you.
And again, I you know, it's yeah, the only and the reason not to run it is because it runs behind the scenes and it can take a performance hit, and good virus protection software costs money. And of course, they're going to make it sound like you really need it, just like Malware Bytes. First thing that happens when you go to Malware Bytes, it says Macs get viruses too. Well, okay, but we're only worried about adware, not even malware. So,
No,
and there are some state level stuff that can be done, but you know, it's not. I don't think you need it. My personal thing is I don't, but we need to keep you informed about that. But Vic, good question. And I think him being in the Windows environment, it makes him more suspicious of us, because you see a lot of it out there. And even Windows has gotten pretty darn good now. In fact, the best virus protection on Windows is the built-in Windows Defender that comes free. So, but there's a lot of people making a lot of money off virus protection software. So fear, uncertainty, and doubt. FUD. Great question. Any other questions? Okay. Oh, Al, go for it.
Yeah, I had a strange behavior. I was
On your
creating.
computer or you?
Well, I've been accused of being strange for 70 years. So, I was using Preview yesterday, and just I needed to compose a quick PDF. And so typically in the old days, you just whatever kind of file you need to put in there, whether it be graphic or text or whatever, you can just drag it on over, or even a page from another PDF, and put it in. And I needed to send it off. It wasn't a large PDF, and I needed to send it off to someone who was it was to someone who's in the Windows world. And it just, it didn't seem like it completed assembling the PDF. And then I would double click on it, and the first graphic was skewed, and I couldn't get back to where the original PDF I had created. And as anyone, I'm running Ventura.
What are you creating the PDF in?
Preview. I started with one graphic, and then I just started loading files and PNGs into it. I don't think that makes any difference. I think Preview is a pretty good Swiss Army knife for just about assembling anything or viewing anything.
Oh yeah, and it's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
If I were doing something like that, I would probably, you put it in Pages, drop everything in it, and then you hit print and then make a PDF out of that. But you're saying it didn't even render on your screen correctly.
Yeah. I created what looked like was a PDF, and it was the file size was large enough to accommodate all the small things I put in it. And then I went back to double click on it, and the first graphic was turned at 90 degrees. And all the other pages weren't in the PDF. And
Well, now, okay, the graphic was, so was it a portrait graphic that went into landscape?
no,
or
it was
vice
a
versa?
landscape graphic originally. It was a JPEG.
Right.
And
Were the rest of your pages landscape? Because I've run into it where it doesn't like to mix landscape and portrait.
yeah, you're right. And I've noticed that in the past, but it would still do it. But sometimes there would be some wonky things happening. But when I quit preview, I saved it and then I quit preview and started it back up, tried to launch it again. And it was like I was back to square one with just that single graphic. So I'm not sure if that's
it
a
didn't
bug or an
save it.
anomaly. Yeah.
So the important question is, did you restart?
I did restart and I had the same deal. So
Okay. Well, that was 95% of the time usually, but man.
yeah.
Did you try a different graphic?
I suppose I could do that.
That would be
but I mean,
my thing to just see if it's because sometimes those graphic files can get corrupted.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, what I find is the best thing to do if you have a corrupted, even if like in Photos it says it can't import one or something, if you take it in your Finder in your desktop and simply drag a duplicate or duplicate that file, the process of rewriting that file sometimes cleans it up.
Yeah.
Because it's just almost sometimes like bits are scrambled in the old one.
Yeah. If it's just a kind of generic and not a high res thing, sometimes I just have it. If I can get it to display on my desktop, I can just do a screen grab of it, save that as a JPEG,
or put it into Pages and try that way too, because it handles it. So Al will be posting on how to fix that in the links in the chat.
Yeah, if I ever get it figured out, I will I would share my aggravation.
Yeah, great. All right, any other questions? All right, we're going to move on to Al is able to share his screen, and Al does a killer job with this. He has some great links, and he can do it. We're going to make sure he gets on the right screen on the. He only has like 12 screens.
I got to pick my one of 5 screens here.
Yeah.
Yeah. We ready to rock?
Like I always say, MacNexus is the 12-step program for us Apple users, and Al leads the pack.
Yeah. Well, here we go. Let's see here. Desktop here. It's got multiple desktops here. That one. And
I'll let you know if we see anything.
Share.
We see just a purple mountain with your Camo Studio Pro and your settings.
Yeah, that's not right. Let me redo this here. Okay. Share my screen. I'll pick the screen that I want here. That's the screen I want, and I'll share that. Oops.
Same thing.
That's
so
odd.
If you share desktop and then navigate to it, sometimes is better. And drag it to whatever main screen is showing up.
Okay. Let's see here. Oh, man, this is
one. But if you just drag whatever window it is over into the screen.
Okay. Well, okay.
Well, we've seen one of the 5 monitors.
Well, this thing here.
And to be honest, you guys, this is a Zoom issue. It's not Al, and it's really how it deals with multiple monitors. I don't think in Q&A they really suspected a 5-monitor setup.
Okay, here.
The difference between surplus and excess.
All right.
So grab the printed page and hold it up to the camera.
Are you seeing it?
No, nothing's changed.
Really?
Nothing's shared now.
Okay. Man, this is
Okay, just share like you did before and just drag that to that monitor, whatever you have.
Okay, hold on here. Okay. Okay, here. I hit my share screen here. Well. Share desktop there. Man, this is not how I have rehearsed this here a couple of times today. Alrighty here. Desktop 1, 2. That's desktop 1 here.
All right, I'll turn that off. Dun 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 dun. All right, Al, we're seeing it.
What are you seeing?
We're
Are you
seeing Apple Tech News and Rumors,
Okay.
and you need to, and then hit play and see if it goes to full screen, and it does. Although we're seeing your notes.
Yeah. I have to pick the screen and let me
Yeah,
see.
and then you want to, get rid of Navigator.
Okay. Let's see here.
Slideshow right there. Oh, that's LG TV.
Yeah. See, but you're on the this one here. So configure this. Sheesh. Slideshow, please. Well, this is not right. Okay, here. This is it here. Current slide. Wow, this is not
Turn off presenter notes.
let's see.
On that screen, turn on that screen where you were there, turn off presenter notes. Go back to the screen you were just on.
Okay.
Go back to the screen you were just on. Click configure on the left.
See. This is the studio monitor.
And then turn off presenter notes.
Presenter notes.
Right there. Okay, hit current. Okay, done. There you go.
Okay, but now I don't have my notes. That's why I got to configure.
Well,
Okay.
you can put them on a different monitor, but
Yeah. Okay, let me okay, I'm gonna have to reconfigure this because I don't have the shit.
we can look back at this and do it at the end if you want.
Yeah, let me
And you're in Ventura, aren't you?
yeah, I've
Okay. No, that's okay. Enough said.
this this did not happen today. When you
Well, it's the Zoom issue.
yeah, well I ran my own Zoom meeting and stuff today and picked the monitor that I want and put the my president.
There's your thing right behind there, your list, your PDF.
No, that's just a PDF. It's not my actual notes. My notes are an abbreviated let me turn this off here. Stop share.
Okay. You want to play with it? And
Yeah,
then
let me see what I can do. Apologize for this. This is
that's okay. So this way I can get through some stuff, and then when you've got it ready, we can interrupt. That's
Okay.
just the easiest way to do it. So let's see here. There's the Jeopardy theme song. Let's go back to the keynote. And tonight I'm going to briefly go through photos on the Mac. And what we might do is once I get done with this, before I go into AI, we can probably carve you a little time there, Al. So
okay.
The whole idea is here, we've talked about doing extensive photo editing and things like that, but I want to make sure everybody has the real basics. Now, we're just going to hit on this quickly because this is the general meeting, whereas on May 6th, there'll be 3 hours between this and the AI segment. So you'll have plenty of time to get down and deep, but I do want to go with what we're doing. We'll talk about, getting started, photo management, albums, editing, sharing, and slideshow. So that being said, I will go to photos. And actually, I had let's do this. First, we're going to show you, I have an alternate photo library that I can use for this. So if you hold down the Option key, when clicking on photos, you can figure out what library you want. So I have this smaller library that's just a bunch of these shots from my travels. And we'll talk about what to do. So I've already created some albums on the side over here because I did this presentation before just 2 weeks ago. But first of all, getting your photos in here. The majority of people are taking photos with their iPhone these days. And if you have iCloud or iCloud Photo Library or iCloud Library on, then on the phone and on your Mac, those photos would get pushed up to your Mac automatically. And once they're here, you can do whatever you want with them. But the most important thing is, if you're using Cloud Library, is remember this. If you delete a photo in one spot, it's going to delete it everywhere. So the only time you would ever delete a photo is if you never, ever, ever, ever want to see it again. And then inevitably, I know some people are getting ready to raise their hand. What if I delete a photo on my iPhone? Everywhere is everywhere, okay? So I think it's important that you know that and act accordingly. So once the photos are in here, and I want to speak to it, kind of this photo cloud library thing is, think about contacts on your computer and on your iPhone. If you create a new contact, it goes up to the cloud and comes back down here. So you make it on your iPhone. It goes up to the cloud and it comes down to your Mac and your iPad, maybe your second Mac. And so they're all getting that same contact. Well, then let's say that somebody tells you they've changed their phone number. So now you're on your Mac and you go on the Mac and you change the phone number there. It will change it everywhere. And they never talk directly to one another. They talk to each other via the cloud. So the whole idea is that they really, they don't necessarily, they sync, but they sync through the cloud. They're not implicitly connected like in the old days when we used to plug a cable in. So if you delete that contact, what do you think happens? It deletes it everywhere. And so the same thing, and the reason I show contacts is because people, they kind of just, it gets off when you're thinking about photos rather than thinking about something physical like a contact. So again, if you crop a photo, let's say like this photo of my mom and dad, let's say I cropped it out and I cropped it down or cropped my mom out or something like that. It will go and do that to the photo everywhere. But the best part about that is, because you're using photos, if you ever want to restore that photo back to the way it was, you simply go in and let's edit this photo right here. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to edit it and I'm going to hit crop and I'm going to do it like this. So I got that white thing out of the side and now I've got him or her pretty much centered. Okay, so now it's done. So there's the photo. Well, let's say I decide I want to get it full frame. Oh, and it goes and syncs with my iPhone and everything else. So this is how it would look there. So if I hit edit, you'll notice up in the upper left corner, in fact, let me turn my Pro mouse on. Up here in the upper left corner, I hit revert to original. And look at that, I'm back to original. So no matter what you do, you can always go back to original. And this holds true if you're using some of the other programs like Luminar and things like that. So if I go back here to my mix of photos, the next thing is the management of the photos. So we have these built-in ones up top, and these are actually pretty good. There's no memories created yet on my other one. There would be, so you could go find pictures and have it look for other people. Places. Oh, I don't have location on, so that's okay. This is a new app, a new library. But you have what's called albums, and you can have folders. But albums are where you store the photos. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take, I'm going to randomly click. Actually, we'll do this whole row of photos. So I've selected all of these photos. You can see those are highlighted. If I go up to File and say New Album with Selection. Now, it knows I have 9 selected. So I say, yeah, let's create a new album. We're not going to worry about Smart Album at this point. So I'm going to create a new album, and we'll just call it MacNexus. And now I have this album. Now, in my regular library, they're always there. Your library is your shoebox full of photos. That's where the actual photo is stored. In your case, it's probably stored up on the cloud, but in fact, the library is where all the photos are. By creating this new album, it seems like I moved the photos to the album, but I really didn't. They're in fact a pointer to this to the actual photo. And let's show you what happens in that case. So if I go to the library, and where are those? So let's see here. I'm looking for, why are they? Oh, here we go. So we're going to go to the tree climbing goats in Morocco. So I'm going to add some text to this photo. And you do that if you hit edit and markup. Oh, heck. They moved markup. All right, I'm going to do something different. Wow. Interesting. Okay, I'm going to take and edit this and just crop it. I'm going to take it so you don't see that top line. Okay, so I'm going to hit done. And I'm doing this in the library, but if you'll look, it did the same adjustment inside the album. Now remember, I could have this photo in 20 different albums, and it doesn't take up more space because I'm not creating a new version of the picture. The picture itself is always in the shoebox, always in the library. So therefore, you're not filling up space. But I can go, now that I'm in the library, I can go back here and say edit, and I can say revert to original. And there you'll notice it took that out, that crop I did. And if I go back to the library version of it, which for some reason I have trouble finding, right here, you'll see it's regular. Okay. By the way, these are goats that climb trees. They're one type of goat, and they climb the trees, and so they can forage up in here. And this is actually the tree that makes the, oh gosh, what's the name of the oil? It's a very expensive cosmetic oil. And they eat the leaves, and it's actually, what's that?
Jojoba?
No, it's like starts with an L or something. It's a one-word phrase, and I should have put it on here. I'm sorry, it's like a double syllable word is all. It's fairly short. Anyway, they it's to also avoid predators by being able to climb the tree like this. Now the farmer here has helped out and put sticks up there, but they do this on their own, and it's really cool. So, and they're great little goats. So anyway, that's how you do an album. But now let's say I want to take this picture of my car and I want to add it to the MacNexus album over there. I just drag it over it. It becomes a plus sign, which means it adds it. So let's go ahead and we'll come back and we'll add this one to the MacNexus. And then I'll add this one to MacNexus. Now, let's try add this one again. It'll tell me it goes there, but it pops back, see? So there's no way you can create a duplicate. And realistically, it wouldn't be a duplicate anyway because it's just the albums. So the nice thing is in your library, pictures are chronological. If you go to an album, you can sort the pictures in whatever order you would like. You could have it be chronological, but this is where you can sort it however you want. And don't be afraid. Let's say you were keeping a folder for all of 2021. And let's say you took a cruise in 2021 and it was to the Mexican Riviera. So you could have an album that says 2021. And let's just say this is a picture from that cruise. It's not. This is really cool. This is in Aqaba in Jordan. Israel's on the other side, and this is the Red Sea in between. So if you have this one, you'd have it in your 2021 folder. You could have it in your Mexican Riviera cruise, and you could also have it in, say, a water folder. You could have it as in many folders as you want, and it doesn't take up more room. If you delete it from I'm sorry, I said folder, I meant to say album. If you delete it from an album, it will not delete it from the library. If you delete it from the library, it will delete it from the albums because you've taken it out of the shoebox. The reference photo is gone. So that's your folder management. But then once you have a folder, you can take, in fact, I have a bigger one here. You can take this and you can go up and go to File, Create. You can create books with different programs, different things. App Store just means that there are programs out there that allow you to do it. Apple used to do books, they don't any longer. But if we go here, we're going to create a slideshow. So with this slideshow, I'm going to call it Test MacNexus. And I'm going to say okay. So now it has created a slideshow. You can look like a hero with this. Got to get the people out of the way here. So you see the little track along the bottom here. And if you look at the very bottom, you can see that there's a little T for text. And that's what that is. If I click that first slide and highlight it, now I get rid of that text. So all these photos are here. If I just simply hit the play button, okay, that's a slideshow. That's how hard it is to make a slideshow. But let's say I don't like it the way it is. I can go to this little image over here and I can decide to do a different one. We can do reflections, for instance. So I'm going to get rid of that in the beginning. Come on. Oh, I guess in reflections, you can't get rid of it. And you'll notice there's different music. Now, this music is tied to the themes, but you can put whatever music you want in it. I will go into more detail in the other class for it. I'm going to show you the one that I like for memorials I do for people. This is called vintage print. And you'll notice the photo in front is the one that it's showing, but other photos are in the background in black and white. And it's really quite a moving one. Ironically, that was the Iwani on the right-hand side. That was the Fireball. Okay, so the other thing you can do, you can create and use your own music, and you can access your music library and put your own songs into it. And then you can actually do a thing where usually a slide should be 4 to 5 seconds long, up to 6 at the most. And you can figure out how many slides you have and figure out how long you need to have the music. And it will, you have a thing in here where you say fit to music. So it calculates that. But the problem is you want to do your own calculation to see how many. So it says this slideshow would be 4 minutes and 55 seconds. So you find either one song that long or a combination of songs. That's your slideshow. When your slideshow's all done, you can export your slideshow. Oh, export slideshow. And it'll create a movie. So that's really killer. And this now is down in my projects. Your projects are down farther, and it hasn't done anything to affect this here. Let me go back. Yeah, go ahead.
You said slideshow should be 4 to 5 seconds. Did you mean minutes?
Per slide.
Oh, per slide. Okay, thank you.
Each slide should be 4 to 5 at the most 6 seconds.
Okay.
And that's how you do that calculation. If you have 100 slides, that'd be figure 5 seconds each. So that's 500 seconds. And then figure out the math on that. And then that way you know what to do on your music. If you want to do fit to music. Otherwise, you can tell it what length you want it to be the slide. And then it won't end with the slideshow and the music may be out on a different path. Okay. So let's see here. I want to check my keynote. Getting started, photo manage albums, editing, sharing, and sharing is the last one. Let's do that. So a slideshow is kind of heavy. So it's got music, it's got a lot of slides. It may not be emailable, but what you do in that case is you have some options with iCloud. I'll go into those options when we have the big one. So I'll take this picture right here. Actually, let's do this. I'm going to take a few of my pictures.
Pretty gorgeous pictures.
Well, thank you. I'm lucky to be in a lot of good places that they happen. And the majority of these are iPhone photos, by the way. And I'll take that one. So I have 8 photos selected. So if I go up here to the share arrow and I go and I say, okay, I'm going to send it. Well, first of all, I can do a shared album. And that's the best way. If you have a lot of pictures and everything else, you create a shared album. It goes up onto iCloud, and then it just creates a link that other people can go to. We'll go into great detail, not in the thing, but the easy way here is if I go to mail, it just fires up an email. And you'll notice, and I want to show you first here in small. So these are all the 8 photos that are in it. If I go to actual size, this is just barely exceeding 20 megabytes. My recommendation on email is you never want this to be above 10 megabytes. Your email provider might allow you to pass 20 megabytes, but whoever's receiving it might have a 10 megabyte limit. So the way you do this, because these are really big photos, big as far as the amount of data they have. If I take this and just turn it into large, now I'm 1/10 of what it was. These photos are still pretty good sized, and they would go, and that would pass no problem. And what you would do is you would send these to someone, and then if they want a particular one to print, they would just say which one, and then you could send that particular photo. because as we get, as the iPhone gets better and better, we get, much more higher megapixel pictures. So this was actually sunrise right above Banff, and it started raining right after that. So anyway, all you do simply here is I'll address it to Al. There's Al's email. Boom. I would put a subject in, and then boom, I can send it. Okay. And again, you have different settings. Medium is pretty good, but realistically, if you just want people to see it, small is really not that bad. Now, the problem is if they click on this, it will not be a large image that you wouldn't want to have somebody print it with it. I'll show you, I talked about markup earlier. So this is, once you've got them in here, there's this really neat thing. You can say markup, and I can say, I'll say put text on it. And I can say, let's see, this is sunrise. So then I can move that around, put it right up there. I can add, oh, well, it's not doing squiggly lines for some reason. Well, we'll address that later. And that's, I'm going to hit cancel. Don't save that. So the other thing is, and I just noticed this is, let's try this, remove background. Huh. That's new, and I haven't played. There we go. Look at that. So I'll say, so that's kind of interesting. These others really didn't play into that. That's why I picked that one. So that's a new one. And Command Z undoes it. So that's how you would email it. You can also send it as a message. So in the same thing where I said share, I can go to message. Now also you can airdrop it to your other devices, or if someone is nearby you within 50 feet or so. Or you can also put this in notes. A lot of times I'll take a picture of my passport when I travel, and I'll put down into notes and stuff. So that's a quick and dirty photos. We're gonna go into more of this deeper, but also we're going to go and do some other things on the first Saturday, May 6th. So any questions at this point before I close photos?
Ken, did you talk about extensibility?
No, because this is basic.
Okay.
We've talked about it in the past, and that will be later on, and that would just cloud the issue. But what extensibility is, I briefly mentioned it earlier that you can run other photo programs like Luminar, Lightroom, all these other programs that aren't Apple, but they actually work within Photos, and it's wonderful what it can do. It's phenomenal. Oh, one other thing I wanted to point out is, let's take a photo. Oh, let me find one that might work. I'll do this one. So this little magic wand up here is phenomenal, and it's gotten better. This is Apple saying, oh, well, let me see if I can fix that photo for you. And I'm going to click on it. So watch the screen. And it made a slight change. Okay. I'd already manipulated it, but it did a good job. Now I'm going to undo it with Command Z, because I'm going to do something to kind of mess this up. And let's oversaturate this. See, that looks cartoonish. So now I'm going to hit the magic wand, and you see it took it back down where it thinks it is. So the magic wand is really a good thing. So I can hit undo anytime I want, but I'm going to hit revert back to original, and that's it. So that was the original of what I took with this. And this is kind of, this was out towards, just past the dump between the Sacramento dump on, what is it, Kiefer? Between there and going to, towards Rancho Murrieta. There's a pond here and everything. It was a foggy morning and it was just all kinds of dew. And in fact, oh, I don't have the good shot of this. Oh, here we go. This is farther down that road. This is the road that goes between the Kiefer dump and Rancho Murrieta, and this fog was really, really cool. All right. Any other questions on that? Extensibility is just to do other programs.
Yes, Ken, Keith had a question back at 8:04 in the chat. When doing non-destructive editing of images in Photos library, do these library images need to be raw files, or does this non-destructive editing also work with JPEG images?
So it doesn't differentiate. It's and so for people that don't know, RAW is, the iPhone does RAW now, and higher end cameras do RAW. RAW is a much larger file size, and RAW will so JPEG makes your picture kind of look right, because it says, oh, let's make this picture look how we think it's supposed to look, the computer in there, which is usually really darn good. But for instance, in a photo like, I think this one's an example because I did some work on this one. So I'm going to revert to original. So you see how dark this is in the background? I can go in and I can go in here to shadows, and I can bring more of the shadows out, which I really don't want to do. But in this case, if you were trying to get what's behind other people, you can do shadows. Now, if this was a raw photo, I would have much more information from the back of the photo. So therefore, where it doesn't look all pixelated like this, it would really be able to pull that in there. And so, yes, Keith, if you take a raw image and you manipulate it, you can always go back to original. And if you do a JPEG, you can always go back to original. And now that I'm saying that, I'd have to verify. Let me see if I have any raw images just to be sure. I may not have any here. Oh God, .ar. There we go. Well, that shouldn't be raw. Let me see this. No, these are JPEGs. Keith, I'll try to get back to you on that. That's a little deeper than what we were doing. Oh, by the way, this is an original Inca house from the year 400, and we had lunch inside here. And this was the entire house. And it's very wide angle lens, but there was just barely room for all of us to get in there with tables and stuff. That was in Ecuador. So, all right. Any other questions before we go in? Al, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready to take a stab at it.
All righty. Let me unshare.
Get stabbed her. I just, missed. I don't know if it was a Zoom issue or a Keynote issue.
It's kind of a system issue.
Okay. Share that. Oops. Stop share. Nope. Stop there. Share again. Give this. Okay, here. This top one. This top one. Share.
Hey, I think we're looking good.
What are you seeing?
You're seeing your MacNexus with the keyboard and I mean, so that's why my recommendation is in the future, run an iPad or a phone as another part on Zoom. Make sure you don't have audio on so you can see what it is. We see a blank MacNexus, your page with the mouse on it and everything.
Okay. Are you seeing that now?
Apple Tech Rumors, you came up. You're cooking with gas.
All right. Well, sorry about the mix up here. The tech gremlins are just not playing nice today. So anyway, the month of April was filled with a kind of a mixed bag of rumors leading up to WWDC Worldwide Developers Conference of 2023 that's starting about 5 weeks from now, June 5th through the 9th. And first up is an article from Bloomberg. It's in Mark Gurman's newsletter. It claims
And Al
Apple-
will be providing links to all of these too.
Yeah.
So you don't have to like write down what's on the bottom there. He will
No.
links will come out in the next blast.
Yeah. Anyway, Apple's taken what they call a scattershot approach in marketing the features of the new forthcoming AR VR headset. It's
And AR means
augmented reality,
augmented reality, and virtual reality.
virtual. Yeah. Right out of the gate, it's lacking any one obvious killer app. The device apparently, of course, is packed with a whole bunch of new technologies and wide-ranging capabilities. The
And you gotta
strategy,
remember, this is a rumor, but from Mark
Yeah.
Gurman, who has the best, most accurate rumors ever.
yeah, and as we start to approach the event, the likelihood of things being accurate, it kind of increases. The strategy they're using to market this thing is much like they did when they had the Apple Watch. They weren't sure what the killer app was going to be, and they just put it out to the public and let the kind of marketplace kind of guide what the newer iterations will be on down the road. But they do have here's a list of things that they're out of the gate that they're going to throw out at the public here in the way of feature sets here. It's going to have the ability to run most of Apple's existing iPad apps in a mixed reality. That includes books, camera, contacts, FaceTime, files, freeform, home, mail, maps, messages, music, notes, photos, reminders, Safari, stocks, TV, and weather, and a partridge in a pear tree. Quite a few. It's also going to include a new wellness app with a focus on meditation, featuring some immersive graphics with calming sounds and voiceovers. The headset it'll be able to run hundreds of thousands of existing third-party Apple apps from the App Store with no extra or minimal modifications, they're claiming. It will feature new portal for watching sports in virtual reality as part of Apple's push into streaming live games and news. There will also be a large gaming focus, obviously, including some top tier titles from existing third-party developers for Apple's other devices. Another feature will allow the headset to act as an external monitor to a connected Mac. That might be nice. Also included was advanced video conferencing and virtual meeting rooms with realistic avatars, ideally making users feel like they're interacting in the same place. It'll come with new collaboration tools via the Freeform app that lets users work on virtual whiteboards and review material together. That should be helpful. There'll be a new VR-focused Fitness Plus experience for working out while wearing the headset, although that apparently is going to be released later on, but not initially. There's also a feature to watch video while immersed in a virtual environment, such as a desert scene or in the sky. Users will all be able to operate the headset in several different ways that include hand and eye control and Siri. It'll also work with a connected keyboard or controls from another Apple device. So they're just, like they said, it's a scatter shot. They're throwing everything out there and letting the users decide what they like the most. This from Mac Rumors on April 7th, Apple released iOS and iPadOS 16.4.1, as well as Mac OS 13.3.1. For obviously the phone and iPad and Mac respectively. It's a good idea to install these as soon as you can, because all three updates include some pretty important security fixes. According to Apple, Apple's security support documents for iOS and macOS. The new software fixes two separate vulnerabilities, which were known by Apple to have been actively exploited in the wild. And for those folks who are using older phones, Apple's rolled out iOS 15.7.5. This update, along with iPad, oops, sorry about Siri's talking to me.
On
Still
your
on.
watch?
Yeah,
Is it on your watch?
no, it's on my iPad.
I'm
Oh,
having
my
trouble
darn
with the
watch
connection.
keeps.
Please try again later.
Okay, we'll silence that. Okay, anyway, this is important. The for older devices, they've released this 15.7.5 to address the same two security vulnerabilities. There aren't any other on the official release notes. There's not any mention of any new features beyond the security enhancements. This is meant for the iPhone 6s, all models, the iPhone 7, all models, the iPhone SE, the first generation, the iPad Air 2, the iPad Mini 4th generation, and iPod Touch 7th generation. Let's see here. Okay, this from 9 to 5 Mac, a new report says that one of the new features being introduced as part of iOS 17 is an Apple journaling app along the lines of the popular Day One app. The new app will be one of the stock apps pre-released in all new phones and will reportedly be able to automatically track your location, read data from other Apple apps. What is journaling, you ask? Journaling is the practice of daily writing about your thoughts, feelings, decisions, and more. And some of the benefits of journaling, according to the medical site WebMD, studies show that journaling can help reduce anxiety, reduce unhelpful obsessive thought cycles, otherwise known as brooding, increase self-awareness, better regulate emotions, and help people to see when they need to reach out for support. This from Apple Insider as well. And Ken, you probably want to chime in on this. Apparently, the mobile passport control app can now help eligible Canadian and American travelers expedite their entry into the United States by speeding up your time at customs.
Yes, it's been doing that quite a bit. And it's, if you don't have TSA pre or global entry, it
Nexus, yeah.
Yeah, well, and Nexus is from Canada. This really does help, and you'd be surprised. So, do this while you're waiting for your bags or whatever. Download the app beforehand, but fill this out, or if you got Wi-Fi in the plane, do it, because it can only help.
Yeah. It may not work. They're saying it may not work in all ports, but if you don't travel a great deal, and you probably don't have need of the TSA pre-check or global entry, if you don't travel a great deal, this might be a solution to help kind of expedite your travels.
What's the name of it? Is it
MPC? It's called the mobile passport.
Mobile passport.
Yeah, and it's put out by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection, and it's one of their free programs. And
it's an official one, and then there's a link to it in the link to the article there, and you'll get that link.
Yeah. Next, recently, Katie Cotton, who was Apple's vice president of worldwide communications for 18 years until she retired from the company in May of 2014, passed away on April 6th. She was known as one of the leaders in public relations and marketing, joining Apple in 1996, shortly before the return of Jobs. The controversial PR chief was well known for how she handled secretive information pertaining to products, scandals, and Steve Jobs' health. She was seen as one of the most powerful executives at Apple, as she worked under Steve Jobs to curate the culture of secrecy the company is known for today. Next, from 9 to 5 Mac, with TV OS 16.5 beta, Apple's testing a new feature for the Apple TV app on the Apple TV 4K set-top box. It's the ability to watch more than one game at a time. Multiview allows users to watch up to 4 simultaneous streams at once. The feature is available for live sports streamed through the TV app, like MLB, that's Major League Baseball, Friday Night Baseball, and MLS Season Pass for soccer. Features available when multiple sports are live at the same time on the Apple TV service. Apple's rumored to be in talks to get the rights to other sports streaming packages in the future. This from Apple Insider. After the announcement months ago, Apple Savings is available for Apple Card users to transfer daily cash rewards into high yield savings account with no fees, minimal deposits, or balance requirements. Apple Savings can hold cashback rewards or money transferred from a different bank. Like the Apple Card, Goldman Sachs manages the savings account and offers a 4.15% annual percentage yield. Apple Card owners can now open a savings account from the Goldman Sachs through their Apple Wallet.
And I should point out is 4.15% is the highest in the industry right now. But secondly, well, it looks like maybe UFB, but it's not just your savings on the Apple Card. You are able to transfer money into that. So, it's still not beating the inflation rate, but it's pretty darn good. And the max you can do is $250,000. Now, remember, you're only insured up to $250,000 too.
Yeah. Obviously, this is a graph that Apple Insider posted for everyone to kind of compare notes on comparable offerings by other.
And I believe Marcus is isn't that the Goldman Sachs own one on that too? If I'm
could be,
mistaken.
it's a 3.9%, so it's not as much. Of course, their maximum balance is 3 million, but like you're saying earlier, FDIC only insures up to 250,000. So that's if you're interested in comparing notes, go to the there's more information on the link provided in that Apple Insider article.
So do you have to have an Apple something account in order to?
You have to be kind of all in on Apple. You have to retain either an iPhone or an iPad to manage the account.
And you have to have the Apple Card. That's which is administered by Goldman Sachs. But if you don't have an Apple Card, it's really quite good. And anything you buy from Apple, you get 3% cash back daily. It's got good incentives on other things. There's other higher incentive cards out there, but it's really a pretty good one. The nice thing is it's very simple because you can do everything on the phone. And I love the fact that it's very transparent. They don't want you to carry a balance, unlike other card companies. They make their money off the interest. Well, what the Apple Card will do is you have a little slider and it will say, oh, if I pay this much more per month, when do I have my balance paid off and things like that. So I think they're being a very good citizen in that regard with this.
Yeah.
And there's
and Goldman Sachs lost a lot of money on the Apple Card.
Yeah, circa $1 billion, according to them.
There's a fee on the card?
No.
Huh.
Okay, I have an Apple Card. I have an Apple Cash Card, and all of a sudden I've got an Apple Account Card, which I didn't know of. Is that what you're talking about? What's the Apple Account Card? It's
I would recommend you follow the links because it's and I think, let's see, are you on your phone or where?
I'm on my phone. It's blue. It's got a blue apple and it's a white card.
Okay. And are you doing it in preferences or are you doing it in the
Wallet.
The wallet app itself?
Wallet app.
Okay. Anybody else have that? I don't know.
I got nothing. I'm looking at my wallet right now and I just have the Apple Cash Card as well as the my Apple Card. I haven't tried to sign up for their for the savings.
Oh, I have a blue and white card showing in
Yes.
mine, but what it is my Visa card.
Well, the
It
Apple
happens to
card
be
is
blue.
white,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
you have the white Apple card, right?
I don't have an Apple card.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what it is. That might be a link for Apple Cash to your bank account. So I assume, Darian, you have that blue card also, and you don't have an Apple card, or who was it?
It's Joan. It's
Oh,
a white
Joan. You
card
haven't-
with an apple that's blue on it. And I don't.
You have an
think I
Apple
asked-
card, a white Apple
I
card.
do. I do
Oh,
have
that's
an Apple card.
interesting. Well, we'll have to revisit that. I would recommend going to the article and see if it's got any info in there, but I don't know that it's linked to this.
It does say add money, ready to use, pay with your iPhone in Apple Store, shop online and buy apps or subscriptions. So I don't know why I need that if I've got my Apple card.
Well, I wouldn't delete it, but
No.
I wouldn't use it. And if there's nothing on it, you got me on that one.
Yeah.
Again, this is Lisa. I've got that card also. I tend to use it when I'm buying ebooks or whatever. They just charge into there. That's where my iCloud charges into. That one's been around quite a while.
That predated the Apple card, right?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. And the
Okay.
Cash card and Apple Cash.
Thank you for that insight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the way to work, well, before this, the only way to go in was like through system preferences, and you just clicked on your name and then you found the card, and now they've got it in the wallet. So it's confusing.
Yeah. Anybody else have some remarks they want to share? Okay. All right, moving on here. This from 9 to 5 Mac. As promised in January, speech recognition feature on HomePod and HomePod Mini was finally launched. When enabled, your HomePod will listen for your home's existing smoke and carbon monoxide detector. When it hears the alarm, the HomePod will send a notification to your phone via the Home app. If you want to enable it, just go to the Home app and go to the Home settings and go to safety and security screen and just enable the sound recognition, and you're in. Have to do that. And finally tonight, ex-Apple chief designer Johnny Ive has been given the Edison Award's most prestigious honor in a ceremony in Florida. Sir Jonathan Ive was presented the Edison Achievement Award for his work across Apple, plus his own firm, it's called Love From is the name of his firm. The Edison Awards honor innovations in product and service development, marketing, human-centered design. The categories range from green technology to medical breakthroughs. Like Ken said earlier, all the links I generated tonight and a whole bunch more that I collate for each month will be distributed in the PDF by Bob White in his normal MacNexus email blast. I'll post it sooner on our Facebook page. Our Facebook page is a great forum for late-breaking curated Apple and tech news and support. And we encourage everyone to come and check us out. And I saw this meme, I just couldn't resist.
As always, Al, fantastic job. Really, really good. So, Rich Pearson, you have your hand up. Go for it. Unmute yourself.
Yeah, we got to do that. Yeah, my question is, if Goldman Sachs is losing money on the Apple card, how do they justify that?
Well, there's losing money and there's saying you're losing money. But I don't know.
Paper money.
It may be the card itself, but then maybe they get more through it. I don't know. And if I knew that, I probably wouldn't be the head of Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, I'm sure they got smart bean counters over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, They don't always
Well, I
tip
just
their
hope
hand
it-
about their financial, how they handle the back end of things.
Either that or they're trying to get Apple to cut down their fees, you know?
Yeah.
I just hope that the card doesn't fail.
I don't think that's going to happen because
Yeah.
Apple could buy gold. Well, yeah, they could buy Goldman Sachs.
Yeah.
Melissa, go for it.
They're both reputable companies. So, if you're going to move money around, you want to go with long established people
And
with
her
deep
FDI
pockets.
and this whole thing is FDIC insured.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Go for it, Melissa, and then Lisa.
Well, I was just thinking that Apple is starting in a new way. There's some additional security. There's all kinds of startup costs with the Apple Card. Yes, it's a credit card, but I think it's a new way of working too. So I think that's where they're spending some money up front, but they would obviously be anticipating making lots of money.
Well, from what I've read, so you got to remember that Goldman Sachs never had a credit card before this. And Apple is a great negotiator. You think about the things that they got from AT&T when they gave them, well, they went to Verizon first, and then AT&T took the iPhone and went off there, and they got that. We had that great $25 unlimited plan and things like that. So Apple has a lot of cachet to be able to do things like that. And so Goldman Sachs obviously looked at this, and you have to remember that of those billions of dollars they're losing, some of that could be attributable or could be not really a loss, because maybe there's some quote marketing. In other words, their exposure, and they're getting, they may be able to build more of a banking business out of it, because they've been an investment bank all of their existence. And now this puts them into more of a commercial and retail banking, which is where a lot of money is too. So, they're no dummies. And the thing is that Apple would do it themselves, but Apple shouldn't be a bank. So
Better to
Lisa.
go with some outfit that, is familiar with all the banking regulations, which can be, cumbersome and complicated, and, who has a track record in the industry.
Yeah, and Apple is the one that made it so it's really easy to use and all of these things. So you have the look and the feel of Apple, and it's almost like our products are made by Foxconn, the majority of the Apple products, which is nice. They're building one here in the US. They've got a big one going in Vietnam, and now so they're getting a tremendous amount out of China at this point. But it's kind of like Apple doesn't produce all of the phones and everything. They leave that to someone else, but they design every bit of it. And even the chip is built by TSMC, who also is expanding out of Taiwan. And they're the ones building the chip, but Apple designs it. So look at it this way. Apple designed the card, but the process is made by Goldman Sachs. And so I think that's kind of the way to look at it. Lisa?
Yeah, off topic, unfortunately, but we have someone who's been a part of the meeting the vast time, but they're logged in as Golden Valley. If you want to be part of the raffle, we need a first and last name, please.
And you can unmute yourself and tell us who you are. Golden Valley might be their real first and last name.
Could be.
I used to know a Golden Valley Travel.
We don't have a member named Valley.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't think so. So if you're hearing us, Golden Valley, unmute yourself and tell us your first and last name if you're a member, please. Otherwise, you will not be counted in the drawing for good prizes. All right, so let's go on. Thank you, Al, again. You guys, the amount of time Al spends getting that together, but secondly, while we're in this, getting the links and everything together, the value of that information is so huge. So huge shout out for Al. And again, it has upped what we do on Zoom so dramatically. All right, so let me share my screen here. All right. So I'm going to just pop a couple slides here. And we're going to talk about this. And then I'm going to show you some examples, but we're going to get into this, the newest thing, Chat GPT, and we'll talk about it at the presentation, at the first Saturday meeting. It basically started out OpenAI. I'll go into more details about that later, but OpenAI is a consortium. It was a not-for-profit started. It's forked off into other things. We'll get into that later. But Chat GPT is, OpenAI has a Chat GPT. Microsoft does, Google does, and the original, and I think the cleanest, is OpenAI Chat GPT. So it's deciphering the new artificial intelligence. So my presentation that I will give you, because it's an hour-long thing, it talks about artificial intelligence, which is the basis of this. And artificial intelligence has gone on for a long time. And so here you have the three main Chat GPT clients, I'll call it. You have Chat GPT, OpenAI, you have Google's Bard, and you have Microsoft Bing. And they're all competing for it. So in brief, what Chat GPT is all the rage right now. It's kind of been around for a while, but it is a Google search on steroids. And what Chat GPT does is it basically has gone over and it has, because of the tremendous computing power we have now and the storage, it has gone through and basically digested, it's called data mining. It's gone out and it has digested virtually every written word on the planet that is somehow accessible on the internet, maybe the back end of the internet. But what happens with Chat GPT is it takes all of that information, and then with artificial intelligence, it goes through and it learns with machine learning and a neural network. And now it's gotten to the point where the programmers aren't teaching it anything. The programmers aren't loading anything in. It is HAL 2001: A Space Odyssey, where everything in the machine, it's learning from itself. And so it isn't a sentient being, but it's amazing. And I'm going to show you some things, but I'm going to give you a quick example of artificial intelligence. So we know that let's just do this. I'll get a text edit thing here. So in text edit, we'll start at the top of this. So I'm going to launch dictation. This is simple speech to text dictation, period. New line. If I say, well, I need a jacket tonight, comma, it will simply type, well, I need a jacket tonight, period. What if I say, I'm drunk, period? So you can see, so you can see that it speech to text dictation. This isn't artificial intelligence at all. But let me show you what artificial intelligence will do. If I go to Siri and I say, well, I need a jacket tonight.
The low will be 57 degrees Fahrenheit tonight.
So the difference here is I typed, or I over here, I dictated, well, I need a jacket tonight. And it does what I said. But over here, Apple and Siri crunches this and says, well, if Ken's asking me if he needs a jacket tonight, he might not, he might want to know what the weather is. So what do we say? I'm drunk.
Please be safe. If you want me to call or text someone, just ask.
So again, that's artificial intelligence. There's not someone on the other end of that line typing that in. It's instant. It's processed on board by my computer, but also it can be processed by Apple's large supercomputer up east of Sparks, Nevada. So artificial intelligence has been around since the 1950s. In fact, Alan Turing. So you know how when you go to websites and you have a CAPTCHA, it's called, where you have to say, how many of these pictures have a motorcycle in them? And we know there's things, I tend to overthink them. And I go, well, there's a little tire there. It might be one. And it's just those things. The whole idea with that is try to prove that you're not a computer. So, but it's evolved. And the reason there's been such it's amazing. And I'm going to give you an example. If there's a vacant lot near you, let's say a big field, 10-acre field, and a fire breaks out and it's 2 yards by 2 yards, okay, that's a pretty small fire. You could go out and put that out pretty easily. But if that fire continues to go, now all of a sudden it's 4 yards by 4 yards, then it's 40 yards by 40 yards. Then it's 400 yards by 400 yards. And it feeds on itself, and the amount of stuff it's consuming is growing the whole time. It's not just getting bigger. The amount that it's burning is getting bigger because it has momentum. That's why people are worried about ChatGPT right now, because it's to the point where it is starting to learn things itself. And by doing that, it could be a runaway train, and that wouldn't be good. So many of the top proponents and the people that started OpenAI and ChatGPT are very, very concerned, and they want to basically put a halt to it just because the expansion it can go crazy. And at some point, it could get out of hand. Now, for now, you can always unplug the computer, but when it becomes robots. So ChatGPT is just what this is called. And let me go to some definitions for you. So if I pound through this, so I talked about ChatGPT, and that's putting the cart before the horse. It's all based on artificial intelligence. And I'm going to just pound through this really quick, and I'll go into much more detail. It was first introduced by British mathematician Alan Turing, okay, 1950s. Let me skip down to definitions. And actually, I'm going to skip definitions because we are at a point. So let's do this. Let's go and just show you some examples. I want to tease you with this. So this is one called Roam Around, and Al has all these links and he'll provide them, but I encourage you to go. I'll go into great detail. And the thing is I will, we'll do these examples and it'll all be recorded. So if you can't make it to the first Saturday, but I went into Roam Around and I told it, I just said Roseville, and it builds a 7-day itinerary around here. And it built all this. And it goes out, it looks for things, what people have done. They've done responses, good restaurants. Then I said, well, make it for a senior. So it changed the hiking to shopping and things like that. It just did this. It's knowing. And then I said, well, just make it a 3-day thing. So it made it and changed it to a 3-day itinerary. So I'm using this. I'm heading to Africa, Budapest, Amsterdam soon. And I'm using this to tell in every city I go into. And the best part here is, yes, you can use a Google search all you want, but I can further define this or further modify it, customize it for what I want. So this other one is Forefront, and let me show you this. I did this one, and text edit. So I asked it to explain Newton's first law like Shakespeare would have written. Hearken, fair folk, let me speak to thee of great scholars through Isaac Newton and his wondrous first law of motion. Forsooth did he proclaim. Anyway, it goes through that. I thought that was pretty funny. And then I actually said to do a popular rap song as Shakespeare would. And hark attend, good people, whilst regale ye with the tale, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, and that's all done. So it analyzed Shakespeare and it took a rap song and put them together. The other things it can do are, this is what I used for that one I just showed you. But here's an interesting one. I recorded 1 minute of my voice prior to this. I recorded that. I stored it on my computer, and this went in and analyzed my voice. So I'm going to tell it to read this, and it will use my voice. So I'll read it first. Is it live or is it Memorex? ChatGPT is an online platform that allows users to ask questions and receive answers from the computer called chatbot. So I'm going to just leave it there for a second, and I'll take this out of it. Now I'm going to tell it to generate that in my voice. I used other people's voices, but that is mine.
Is it live or is it Memorex? ChatGPT is an online platform that allows users to ask questions and receive answers from a computer program called a chatbot.
Now, to show that I didn't mock this up, I'll put this in here.
Chatbot is designed to understand natural language, which means that you can ask questions in the same way that you would ask a person, is it live or is it Memorex?
And now it's me. Is it live or is it Memorex?
It's scary.
Yes, and the same thing can be done with videos of people.
Deep
So yes,
fake audio.
it's scary.
I
What's
could
that?
tell it was not you.
Well, actually, it was, my voice was recorded when it was very quiet and I wasn't shouting and stuff. So you couldn't tell it wasn't me, Bob?
I could tell it was not you. The pace of the diction was different.
Yeah,
and
but you can.
the tone was a little off.
But I can tweak that. I did this right.
Maybe you can, but
not me. The program, I can tweak the program. But yeah,
okay.
The cadence is different, etc.
It's just going to get better.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
it's probably lucky that it's flawed, so we can differentiate it between what's artificial and what's not. But it won't be for long.
So let me show you the last one, and then we're going to go to the drawing. But this is pretty cool. So let's do. This is just some of the ones they have. So I'll go here. This is a small cabin on top of a snowy mountain in the style of Disney Art Station. And it's making this image with what we said. So then say one person eating pizza. Okay, that didn't work. Let's do one I know that I did just 2 nights ago. Gorilla on Empire State Building. Eating pizza. Oh, I got to say top. And I got to type right. There you go.
There you go.
And let's have him eat an ice cream cone instead of. Okay. Oh, there's the, you can barely see there's an ice cream cone right there. So that one didn't work too well this time. It did it for me before. But anyway, it's pretty amazing. You can have fun with it. Most of these are free. There are some ones where you pay a nominal amount. I did a 1 month so I could do the voice thing. But Al will provide the links for all this and we'll go into much more detail.
Mid Journey is really good too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Let me.
Plenty of links there.
Yeah, the links are there, and have fun with it and play with it. You know, AI is used. I'll go into it in photography. There's a big thing with a lot of the photo things. It makes the photo a lot better, but you can put in sky replacement and things like that. So there's all kinds of things that can be done with AI. I have an example of a photo. Actually, let's do a photo where it's an old photo that has all these little creases in it, and it's an old sepia tone, and it just takes those lines out, but the image of the person is just right. So I need to know the numbers for our drawing, please.
For the in-person, we have 36.
Okay.
For the all-member, 278. Right, Mary? It's 278.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay. Just to recap on this, we have 4 $25 Amazon gift cards for members that are present, and we verified against the list. We have 2 $100 gift cards for present members, and we have one $100 gift card that goes to the entire membership. That's the 278. And the number you get, if you're number 40 on the first one, you won't be probably 40 on the other one because that's a whole separate list. So if we call 40 twice, it's a different person. That being said, if you win more than one prize, let's say you win a $25 and a $100, you have to give us one of those back and we will redraw. Now it's up to you which one you want to do. And I always say this, but you would probably want to give back the 25 so you can keep the 100. We'll do that. I'm monitoring Siri on my screen. And if I don't enunciate clearly and it doesn't do the right number, that one's out before we even look up the name. So it will be a random number between 1 and 36, and we know that's inclusive. And then the last one will be a random number between 1 and 278. So here we go. Give me a random number between 1 and 36. And the first four of these are for the iTunes the Amazon $25 gift cards. And the number was 20.
20, Keith McMahon.
Congratulations, Keith. So you can add that to your, well, you can't add it to your Apple.
Thank you.
All right. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
The answer is 31.
31.
31, Raymond Chung.
Raymond, congratulations. 2 more cards coming. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
The answer is 33.
33, way up at
Royce Thompson.
Royce, congratulations. And the last $25 gift card. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
It's 13.
13, lucky number 13.
Jennifer Kerr.
Kurt, great, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You guys, you'll get an email that'll be from Amazon, and it's not spam. It's from Amazon, and you just redeem your card there. So now the first of the 2 in-person $100 gift cards. So I should play that drum roll theme again. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
It's 25.
25 has not been called.
Mary Weinschneider.
Congratulations.
Woo-hoo.
Mary.
Woo-hoo, was right.
Overdue. Board of director.
And that reminds me, we've got Mary, Lisa, Bob White, Rich Pearson, and and Randy Hare, all on the board and all volunteers and all helping make, Bob White and Al Tribbett. There we go.
And
makes
Thomas.
this
Tom
thing-
Spencer.
Thomas.
Oh,
Thomas.
Thomas.
Hold our boards here, man.
Oh, yeah, everybody is here. And
We could have a board meeting.
Oh,
No.
And
No,
so far, only
Mr.
one
Russ
of us
is
won the
missing.
prize. All righty, so we're going to do the second in-person $100 gift card. Give me a random number between 1 and 36.
It's 4.
4, low number.
Oh, 4. Carlos Miranda.
Carlos, congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so now we're doing it of the 278 active members. Give me a random number between 1 and 278.
It's 95.
95.
Okay, that is Kathy Jennings.
Kathy Jennings. Well, thank you, everyone. I didn't do a long Q&A. I'll stick around here for a few minutes for Q&A if anybody wants it. I encourage you to do the May 6th meeting. It'll be the last one I'll be at for probably a couple months. I've got a lot of travel coming up. So, all right. Thank you. Thanks for all the volunteers. Thanks for showing up, all 37 of you. And I will stick around. Melissa, you got a question. Go for it.
How worried do I need to be about these chat bot things and privacy? I mean, is this something that you just do via Safari, a web browser? Are they collecting information or whatever?
Well, you're asking it a question. So how much information are you divulging when you ask them a question?
Not much.
Right. But if you ask them about kidney disease or something like that, obviously that's it. But it all depends, like anything else. If you were to post that on Facebook, all bets are off.
Right.
But if it was Apple, no problem.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
So the thing is that it depends on where you're doing it. But realistically, that's not the concern. And they're just giving you answers. And the other thing is nobody's saying these answers are correct because it's based on information. For instance, now I got to say everybody we've said we're not doing anything on the Kings game or anything. So don't anybody mention that. Let's just say it was I don't know if the Celtics are playing, but if you were to ask ChatGPT what the results of the Celtics game was tonight, it probably wouldn't give you an answer because it's not current. In other words, the information it has gathered is dated or stale to a certain point, and it doesn't continually update it. It will update it, but that's not what its job is. It's like, well, let's think back to the old days of the Encyclopedia Britannica, to put it in simple terms. You got it, and then you would get a yearly update to the World Book or the Encyclopedia Britannica. And so it was dated as it happened then. So it has to go out, that information has to get posted somewhere, and then it has to go up and grab that information. So, but again, I would not be worried about that, but I encouraged you to use, it's called openai.io, which is the cleanest, and it's the cleanest one out there. And but I'll explain those problems with the fork of OpenAI when we talk there. Microsoft is now monetizing it, and it was designed to be a not-for-profit and everything. So there's two forks, and Elon Musk and Sam Altman were the two founders of it, and they put money in it, and then other people come in, but it's not the altruistic thing that they intended it to be. And so they may spin off and do their own. So, but it's still the best.
All right.
And
Thanks.
and when you go to it, you can say GPT 3.5 or 4. And when you put something in the chat, and it's GPT 4, it's amazing the amount of data that comes out. And the key thing here, it's called large language models. And what it is you talk to it in normal language and it comes back to you in normal language. It's amazing. Code writing for a computer, ChatGPT can do that. And everybody always brings up, what about it can write your papers for you? And now ChatGPT, the teacher can use ChatGPT to find out if that paper was derived by ChatGPT just by analyzing it, not because it sent it there. So, and it doesn't keep that stuff. It's just no. So because you can't say, you can't give it feedback to whether you like the answer or not. There's no confirmation bias on that. Barbara, go right ahead.
Yes, I wanted to know if a person wants to come to the meeting, are guests allowed to come to the meeting on the first Saturday? And if so, how would that happen?
Yeah, you would forward them the link that you get. And
Okay.
what I usually say is let people come to 2 or 3 meetings. And if they get value out of it, then they should join. But they aren't ever entered into the drawings unless they're a member.
Okay. And one more question I have is there a problem with do not disturb on the phone? I used to use it quite a bit, and I put until I leave this location. But when I leave the location, my phone doesn't seem to be coming back on.
You have to make sure your location settings are on. That would be one thing. And a lot of people are concerned about security, so they turn that off, which is a bit wrong because the cell phone providers track you everywhere. So there's no reason to not have location on your phone, except on Facebook or Messenger.
So where am I looking for that under settings?
Well, in settings, privacy. Or just Google it. And actually,
okay, I can do that. I can Google it.
Chat GPT. No, ICL. He's typing away. He's putting a link in the chat window as we speak on how to do it. So
thank you.
So much better. Yeah.
Thanks
Randy,
so much.
You're welcome. Randy, go right ahead.
Yes, thank you. Hey, I was intrigued to hear about that roam around. I did just download it, but I'm getting not as successful results as you.
Well, what did you put in?
Well, Juneau, Alaska, Juneau, then a comma, AK. And it says error getting recent searches. Please try again. Maybe it's just too small.
No, that and you should put in there. Can you see Russia from there? No, but it could be that the servers are busy.
Okay.
So let me go into roam around. I have one up, and I'm going to just put in JUNEAU, right?
Right.
And I'm just going to put Juneau, build itinerary. I got a 7-day itinerary. Start your trip with breakfast at the highly rated Sandpiper Cafe, then head to Mendenhall Glacier. So I would try doing it in a browser, and then.
Oh, okay. I'm on the phone. I'll do it browser.
You might have to sign into an account.
Oh, okay.
Well, no, I'm not logged in the browser, so you wouldn't have to there. So.
Okay, great. Thank you. It looks good.
You're welcome. It's so cool. So then when you get that result, it says, what else do you want with that? In other words, you can keep noodling it down and filtering it down to what you want. I'll give you an example. There's another one called SoundHound I used to do. I could say, find me available hotel rooms under $200 in South Lake Tahoe that have a pool and a steam bath or something. And it goes through and does that. And that's what this kind of stuff will do.
Great.
And That was 6 years ago. It could do that.
Yeah, at $200. Now it would be 3 times that rate for that. But hey, a quick shout out and great satisfaction, good story with Seat Guru. For one of my trips coming up, I want to get, take my own luggage on, like the Rick Steves method, with small 9 by 14 by whatever it is, 22 inch, whatever. And so I wanted to get on the aisle on one of my, first segments of the flight so I could get out and off. So I picked a seat, but then I used Seat Guru. It says, oh, maybe limited storage underneath the seat because there's electronic devices for audio equipment. So I just changed to another aisle seat. So it's just marvelous. It's amazing. Thank you.
Well, I've been up the last 2 nights past 3 a.m. using Seat Guru a lot because I have a whole bunch of end of May. I'm going to Indianapolis 500. I'm doing all this other stuff. Yeah. And Ken, who's on here, he's in Tucson, and we're going to Africa and stuff. And so it's so critical that you have a good seat. Yeah. So what I do is I fire up a separate browser window. I do it on the computer more than the phone because it's so much easier, but I fire up a separate browser window. I have Seat Guru there. I get my flight on the right-hand side, and then I look it up on Seat Guru, and then I look at what are available seats, and boom. And you can take economy class or main cabin seats and get good ones that have leg room if you pick the exit row and things like that. I mean, sometimes that you have to pay an upgrade for, but it really gives you the lowdown, and it tells you what. And then the other thing you look up in the upper right corner is pitch. The pitch is what the distance between seats are. So anything below 31 is a little tight. 32 is okay. And then you look, if you get into like main cabin extra kind of quote premium economy, then you might have 36 inches. And it'll show you which seats don't recline, or near lavatory, which can be an issue, and things like that.
Great. So, it's great.
Good. I'm glad you loved it. It's a go. It used to be on its own. It's now owned by, I believe, either Expedia or Travelocity, but it's great. Darian, go ahead. You're muted. There you go.
Yep, sorry. I have a couple of odd questions. And if you can't
I'll
answer
determine that.
Okay. So
whether they're odd or not.
I was looking at all my storage, and that led me to go into something called security. Some of your files had been in a location that is now incompatible with Mac OS security settings. And these files, when you updated to it, or when you transferred over to a new system, were moved to the security folder for your review. So in that security file, I find something called VM, V as in victory, and that's a folder, and in that folder it has a swap file 0, and I'm wondering if it's safe to trash those.
Well, I wouldn't trash them. They're sequestered. Did you ever have a Windows emulator on there called VMware?
Never.
Okay. What I would do is do a Google of that particular name file. Now, since there's no swap files in there, it could just be an artifact for some reason. But it's Apple. It's interesting. We're getting a lot more notifications than we used to. Do you want it to allow to do this and all that? And unfortunately, it's almost getting like the old Windows environment. And you have to understand that Apple, more than anyone, is concerned about your safety, your privacy, and your security. And by doing that, they opt on the more secure. And a lot of that too is because they don't want somebody to say, oh my gosh, everybody, I got hacked and all that. And it's usually not the case, but they're erring on that side. But the nice thing is there's things inside that can detect it more. So while that's more of a hassle, getting compromised is also a big hassle, but I can't give you a specific on that file. Again, if I weird something about that, I'll Google it and see what it says.
Okay,
So you had
I
a
did
second-
do
that's not odd at all. So you had a second question?
Okay, I did do a search on it, but I'll try again. And then
Okay.
when I went into photos, which I never open on my computer, only on my phone, an alert came up saying that the library, photos library, can't be opened because it's in the trash. So I looked in the trash. It's not in the trash. Should I be concerned?
Yeah, you're on Ventura, right?
Yep.
There was an issue with that. Have you upgraded your Ventura?
I
Are
have
you
not.
sure you're up to date?
Ah, okay.
So go to software update, but I would go into the trash first and see if there's a library there.
There isn't.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens.
But you hadn't, okay, but you hadn't been using photos on the computer ever?
I don't recall that I ever used it.
Okay. So I would make sure you're updated and boy, I hear all this and it bothers me, and that's why I haven't recommended Ventura to people yet anyway. But unfortunately, up here at the Apple user group up here, I'm doing a class on Ventura in the first part of June. And so I will reluctantly be loading it. But because we've had some people up here with not that issue, but having things disappear. So do you have a time machine backup?
Well, probably not. Because
Why not?
it's a long story.
Well, so is recovering your data if you don't have a machine or a time machine backup. There's no reason in the world that you shouldn't have time machine backup, at least one. And you always do it before you upgrade an operating system. So I'm sorry, I'm just saying, because then what the other thing is if you had a time machine backup, we can more aggressively go after trying to fix this problem. Because what's the doctor say? First, do no harm, right? And so, yeah. Go out, get a hard drive, get backed up what you have before you try to do any recovery. Hard drives are cheap. You plug it in, let Time Machine do the work, because it's like jumping out of an airplane and not knowing if the person that packed the parachute knew what they were doing or not. So, but I again, since it's, and they're still on your phone, so you're probably okay because they're on the cloud. So I wouldn't, I mean, and one you can do is, one thing you can try with photos is if you hold down the option key, when you, photos has to be closed. When you hold down the option key and click on photos, keep holding it down till it comes up, and you can look and it'll show you where your library. In fact, let me show you on the screen here, because I've got to switch back to my other library anyway after this class. So, or after this meeting, let me share my screen. So I don't have photos running. I'm going to hold the option key. And then I get this. And that's funny. So and you're looking for the one that says it's system library. But if it's not there, if you don't have any that look like they're good, and try all of these, and it may say, I need to rebuild your database and stuff, don't worry about that. But ultimately you could create a brand new library. And then if you want to make it, you'd have to make it the system library and see if it can go up on the cloud. But before you do that, I would make a new library and don't hook it to the cloud, because we want to make sure it works first.
Okay.
But all I do in this case is I'm going to go back to my regular library and say choose library, and then there's all my stuff, like this one. So, all right, good luck with that.
Thank you. It shouldn't be so
Uh,
bad.
Is
I'm
my
not-
screen, wait a minute, is my screen sharing?
Yeah, it was.
Okay, good. Well, I lost my, oh, my bar's on my other screen. Okay. Stop share.
I have a question about Seat Guru.
Okay.
Does it track who else is using Seat Guru on that same plane such that you could avoid sitting next to a child if you didn't want to sit next to it? The
No.
risk that it would be screaming
No,
child.
it is not real time. It's only when you go to the airline site and look at it. And so, no, it does not. It's so what it is the airlines submit when they do schedules. So like, let's say a 767, there might be 4 versions of that within one airline, but there's probably like 8 different versions because some have more or less first class, some don't have a first class, just a business class. And so you'll do that. So what I do with Seat Guru, and Randy, I don't know if you and Al did this, but I always I look at the layout when I'm looking at the plane, and I look and say, okay, business class is 1 through 10 rows. And then I look to the back of the plane to see how many total rows they are. And then if I have to change the airplane, because Seat Guru may not have got that right, because the airlines sometimes change what aircraft they're using because of load, but they don't change it that often. They're not, anyway. So you would just look and verify they're both the same. And then the other thing you can do in Seat Guru, because normally you use the flight number, make sure you put the correct date in. But for instance, coming back from Amsterdam to LAX, just last night I was doing this, and it said it's a KLM flight, KLM, and it didn't show up, and it says a list of aircraft down here. It's like, I don't know what it is. So then I went, instead of putting the flight number, and if you say don't know the flight number, it gives you the cities on both ends. And then I got a list of it. And then it turns out that flight, which I kind of suspected, it's actually a Delta flight that is a code share between Delta, KLM, and Air France, believe it or not. And it's all the same plane. So, but they have different flight numbers. So, but yeah, I always verify with that, but it won't show you available seats on Seat Guru. And that'd be too much. And plus then they have some culpability and liability with that. But
yeah, it's not its intent.
No, and it's better because you're trying to get information on what's good seat. So that's why I open up 2 browser windows so I can go back and forth. And then of course, while you're doing this, the damn site will time out on the airline site. So you got to keep doing it and then come back in. But anyway, play with it. It's
really helpful.
Oh, yeah. And there's some bad seats out there.
Yeah.
So anyway, and the airline does it. So the picture on the airline site has gotten pretty good about showing your exit rows and stuff. And anyway, all right. Anybody else? Oh, there we go. Joellen, excuse me. Go ahead.
Yeah, I have a Seat Guru question. Does it warn you about those seats that I think they're in front of the bulkhead? They have great leg room, but they have very rigid sides to the seat. So if you're a big person.
Okay, so yes, what it does, let's say you're in a bulkhead row, or basically it's any seat that doesn't have another seat in front of it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a bulkhead or it could be an exit. They warn you, first of all, there's no underseat storage in the seat in front of you. And secondly, they say there are tray tables in the arms so that the seat may be narrower.
Yes.
And then you can see also when they show you the pitch of the seat, which is the distance between seats, it will also show you the normal width of the seat. And it reduces that seat by
too much.
Well, it depends. I mean,
it was too much for me on a transatlantic flight. It was hideous.
And I'll give you another tip. It's more for a guy than a girl in that. But I actually like those seats because then I'm not buddy with the person behind me. So, I'm sorry, the person beside me. But guys, when I'm on a seat, and I always get the window. But if there's somebody in the middle seat, my legs just, it's mansplaining, right? If my legs spread out, I take a webbing strap that has a buckle on it with me. And once I sit down, because your muscles get tired after a while trying to keep your seat in your area, especially if you're wearing shorts and the other person's wearing shorts. So what I do is I wrap it around right above my knee and I clip that buckle. And now I can just relax against that and not worry about it.
Wow.
I always travel in my backpack. I always have a couple. They're long enough to be belts if you need a belt when you're traveling, but also to tie things down, to hook your luggage together and stuff like that. When in my travel presentation, I talk about that. Always have a couple of those because you never know. Like securing your, like when I went to Iceland and I went to warmer climate afterwards, I just used that to buckle my jacket to the outside of my backpack, my big puffy down jacket, because I didn't have room for it inside. So
I'm unclear on what you use it for when you're sitting next to somebody and you want your leg to touch theirs. Is that what you're saying?
Well, yeah, but so
Yes.
Men are equipped differently than women.
Yep.
So our legs don't close easily all the way. And like me, I have large thighs and I'm wide. I have wide hips. So my legs are just wide to begin with. If I'm relaxed, mine are wider than what the seat is.
Okay.
So rather than having to fall, my groin gets tired, my inside of the legs gets tired from keeping them pulled in all the time. If I put the strap around it, I can relax because now they're not spreading out and I'm not having to use those muscles.
So you put
Now,
the strap around both your legs to kind of hold them together?
both my legs, it's like, pretend like my waist, my belt on my waist was down almost to my knees, not with pants on, but I'm not putting my pants on there. But the thing is one thing I don't do is I don't put it on until after we've taken off.
Right.
Because I may need to get off that plane.
Right.
So, yeah. But Seat Guru, play with it. You'll need to probably get a flight number to just see it and stuff, but it's wonderful. And and then there's also crowdsourcing on it too, because people will write in the comments. So when you use Seat Guru, just like Yelp, you want to tell it what it is. People will take pictures of certain seats. And what I use is, like, let's say if you're going, for instance, this, my flight to Amsterdam, I paid not much extra and I'm going business. And it showed me so the important thing for that on an 11-hour flight, I don't want just a recliner business class seat. I want to have a lay flat, because otherwise you ruin a whole day when you get there. You can't sleep. So I could see that they were more of the pods. And so I made sure those were, whether it was Air France or Delta, whoever it was, that the flight I picked had that configuration. So, I mean, some of them they just take on my short flights, like from Atlanta to here, if I'd have taken that one, which I didn't, it's basically like they just don't fill the seat in the center. It's like, that's not business class. Go ahead, Al.
No, I was just gonna say I queued up a trip itinerary that I always compose a big PDF of everything related to it, and one of the graphics is laid out the plane just for future reference. I've got it queued up if you want me to, if there's time for me to share my screen. Yeah.
So one other thing about that is, yeah, you look at, they give you, well, I use Google Flights a lot too, but if you do any searching or if you book hotels or anything else on your trip, I encourage you to use a Gmail account, because what happens is if you go, even if you're searching for stuff while you're logged into your Google account and you go to google.com/travel, it will show your current and older itineraries. It builds that for you completely. If you've got the hotel reservation emailed to you, it looks in and finds that and puts it there. Okay, so here's Seat Guru.
This is a Delta flight that I took to Boston, I think a couple of years ago. And it was
so let's start with the upper right. So on the left there, you can see the different airplane types. but you'll want to make sure it just corresponds. But if you look on the right, the pitch there, it shows you what the distance between the seats are, and then it shows you the width. And then it shows you in the middle of the airplane, Delta Comfort, economy, and
Yeah.
they call it first. And in Delta, it's either called Delta One or first class, or that's business too. Then there's, it shows you how many seats there are. Now, hover over the yellow one slowly. Are you active on that screen, or is this a PDF? Oh,
this
you're
is a
not
PDF.
actively in it. So,
Okay.
yeah. So you guys, he's not actively in it. But if you look where the A is, if he were to hover over that, this is a PDF, so it wouldn't have it. But if you hover over that, it would have said, oh, these seats don't have, they don't have storage ahead. And there's these red ones and things like that.
There's a seat map key at the bottom there. And it tells you in red, what's a bad seat, beware. Green is like a good seat, I guess, or now there's a mixed review, and different icons for where the gallery, lavatory, blah, blah, blah.
So if you go right above that, these are the user submitted ones, and it's based on, hold on, stop. Oops. It's based on these featured user commands. Stop. So these are submitted by a Seat Guru user. It gives you the date and what seat they were in. That's always how you can tell. And then the overview here is a combination of what Boeing says, or I'm sorry, what Delta says, and what Seat Guru says about it. They just do this analysis of it. But it's wonderful. And here you can see the exit rows. So this green is really good because this one means there's no seat in front of it. So you get extra leg room. And this is probably like a slightly more expensive seat than regular economy. But these, it says it's bad because this exit row seat probably won't recline and there's no seat back storage in front of it. And then sometimes you'll get one of these where there's no window or anything. Go ahead and scroll up a bit. So this A seat right here, for some reason, now there's a chance that might be a no window seat. So there's something there because it also affects the seat behind it. So anyway, and like these, so I know that these, for instance,
economy.
These, well, no, up here on row five, that might be that there's limited recline because there's probably a bulkhead there. And then the ones in the front here, the yellow ones are no seat in front of them. And then the one on the right here, they would also alert you to proximity to the galley. And back, by the way, these exit rows and the seats behind them are the ones like Joellen talked about, where they have the built-in tray is in the armrest and you don't get any other stuff on it. Actually, this row probably would not have the armrest thing, but they won't recline because they won't allow a seat to recline if it's into an exit row. So that's all the stuff you find out on Seat Guru. And then you fire up your airline one on the other side and pick your favorite seat. And then these traveler photos are good. Here's 51 of them. So it looks like this second one here is probably a business class, and it just gives you a lot of ideas. That's great. Good job that you saved that.
Yeah. Very helpful. Highly recommended. Check it out.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And of course, there's, people chime in on it, the situation one more, and it tells you if it has a, Wi-Fi, what in-flight amenities exist.
And AC power is a big deal.
Yes.
So there's sometimes in economy, you won't have it, but they do on most of the flights now, but it used to be a thing. And sometimes you have to hunt around for that. And if they have AC power, they probably have 1 or 2 USBs also. So anyway, good job. Anybody else, anything before we sign out here? I'm going to try not to stay up till 4 o'clock tonight. Oh, and I got to email out Lisa's already sent me the winners, so I will send out the Amazon gift cards. Thanks, everyone. Al, why don't you?
I've